Good morning.
Good morning.
I was kind of trying to assemble a few things. Karen, I love your. Um, are we in the meeting? Is everybody here?
Yes, I think did we call our meeting to order? What time is it? 10:31. Yes.
10:31. Oh, you're still in Michigan.
No, I'm not in Michigan.
Oh, your watch is though, right?
I'm in St. Croix on the U.S. Virgin Islands.
Oh my.
Yeah, oh my.
Oh gosh. I love
I
watching.
know.
Yeah, Death in Paradise.
I got my vaccines, and my sister lives here, and her partner and friends, and so I felt safe.
Getting some beach time?
Totally.
Oh
It's
gosh.
one. I
Oh,
know.
no.
I'm
This
so
is the week.
sorry.
Yeah, this is the week. We're gonna get over our drought, and you're gonna be tanning in the beach.
Here, I'll show you. So sorry, you guys. Oh, wait, here, this way?
Green. Oh gosh.
Is that real?
Very
Yes,
nice.
it's real. It's
Very
real.
nice.
I know. I know. It was such a last minute decision to do
Good
this.
for you. Good for you.
So, totally. Anyway, I'll sit out here.
Yay.
So, Karen put a lot of work into putting those objectives in, huh, Karen? Plus the survey, and I'd love to hear more about the ProSab meeting.
Oh, okay. So we went over the matrix of goals, objectives, and actions from the 2013 plan,
Mm-hmm.
and then just revised it based on the current state of the world in ProSab. I could show that if you'd like to see
Yeah,
it.
yeah, let's do that. That sounds
Okay.
good.
Let's see. I'm just getting it set up here. Let's see.
So while you're doing that, we're close. I mean, with that, it's pretty close. I feel like I did some revisions on there.
Yeah, and I replied.
I know I saw that,
Okay.
and then I replied to you,
Oh, okay.
just on a couple things. But I think we're so close.
Cool.
That really was helpful.
Okay, so here's chapter 7 of the 2013 plan. And the updates are in green. So we should start seeing some green here pretty soon. Ah, here we go. There should be a green up higher as well. Okay, not trying to make Jill maybe dizzy. They added one objective,
Good.
one action
Mm-hmm.
for the funding and staffing objective.
As a grant writer, huh?
A grant writer, yeah.
Yeah, that's a good idea. So do you pay grant writer hourly, Karen? Garrity?
Actually, we all write grants. So Chris Pelletier does it. I do it. Miranda does it. We assist other folks who do it, like
Yeah.
ProSab
Right.
or whatever. So we just included within our salary. Right now, we are not paying an outside grant writer. We did have a little assistance with the
Yeah.
latest grant we submitted with the police department because they're so short-staffed. Even though
Yeah.
Sergeant Jen took the lead, to bring it home, we spent about $400 on a grant writer to help us just finish it. And I didn't negotiate the deal, so I'm not sure if it was just a set price, which is
Yeah, that's what I was,
yeah,
that's what I
sometimes,
was curious.
yeah, sometimes grant writers will do that. They say it's not the best practice though,
Right, right.
to do a percentage. It's better,
Well,
just,
actually, I don't think you can. It's
yeah,
unethical.
exactly.
I think it's either hourly or
Or project. You can kind of do
yeah,
it based on the project.
yeah.
And then a lot of grants will actually put into the project budget whatever it costs to be able to write and submit a grant. And so, for instance, with some of our bigger grants, like the KIP grant we actually had to hire a professional, like grant management engineer type person who can help us make sure we're doing everything correctly. And we just used the town's engineer on record. So
Did you find that helpful?
oh, extremely. You
Okay,
know,
good.
the more technical you get,
Yeah,
I think, and the larger the pocket of money, and
right.
especially if it involves federal
Yeah,
and state funds, and especially if it's a mix, because that
right.
gets super confusing.
Yeah,
So even though Chris and I basically wrote that grant, we
yeah.
knew that we weren't going to be able to manage it ourselves. There just wasn't, we were awarded.
Right. Makes
We
sense.
actually, we included that in our project budget.
That's great. Well, I think that there should be a grant writer for this, so.
Okay, so in the, under the parks, first goal, first objective, there was name the Gateway Park area.
Mm.
And there was a resolution passed by the town a little while back to name it Barker Meadows Park. So
Yep.
that's the official name. They changed objective 2.2. And they said, let's not just talk about ice and rapid
Right.
park.
That's what I
Let's talk
said too.
Yeah. So they said,
That's funny.
you know, we're working on improving our relationships with all the nonprofit organizations, and they're actively doing that now. So that's why I changed the objective to.
Good one.
They said remove objective 2.4 because the Public Works has standards for park fixtures. They said remove 2.5 because
Yeah.
that is ongoing. We have the community gardens. That's sort of done. Okay, and then everything that's not in green for goals and objectives, they are things that they're currently working on or perceived working on in the future. Now, the boating program on Barker Meadow Reservoir.
Yeah.
The couple in the in ProSab do want to revisit that. And then there's the others on ProSab who think that we should not revisit it. That we shouldn't.
Did they discuss the reasons why it's unlikely that the city of Boulder would approve it unless we invested millions of dollars in voting? Is ProSab aware of that?
No.
Do
How
you
does
think-
how does that work?
Okay, so the people who actually run, from the city of Boulder in the Boulder Water Department, who are actually oversee the water rights, water disbursements, water allocation, they're up here. They very closely tied to Barker Reservoir. There's several things going on that I think everybody should understand. And the first is that the water is too cold, and that there is a true belief that it would just be super, super dangerous to let people out in boats, even in the summer. The water is definitely cold. So we would.
So Karen,
That's just number one, and they would require a pretty.
Oh, you're cutting out, Karen.
Uh,
water. So it would have to set up a pretty intensive and expensive method of looking at every boat that goes into the water first to make sure that there is no invasive species. So
So Karen,
yeah,
this is, I feel like this has been discussed ad nauseum for 25 years.
yep, it has.
And I feel like all these notes are somewhere. And so when I see aquatic recreation, I think of pool also, right? And
Yes,
also it probably includes the idea for a kayak little area in the creek,
yes,
right? And
correct.
maybe there are other things too. So I think the broad aquatic recreation is something that needs to be explored. But I think it would be really great. It kind of goes with that community engagement piece of, how do we seal these deals so that we don't have to keep resurrecting
I
the
agree.
dead
What
every
happened?
single time we talk about
I know, Jill. And what happened, unfortunately, is it became a thing.
You've cut
Okay,
out.
Karen, we lost you.
Happened to be there at the meeting, and he was like, "Oh, well, now city council's for it, you know." And so there were things said publicly, like, "Oh, maybe we could do it," you know. So then, and it was probably more like 2.5 years ago. I'd only been here about a year or so. So I started all the investigative work and working again with the City of Boulder Water folks. And of course, I guess I'm cutting in and out.
You are,
Yes,
yep.
you're good now.
Okay, good. Sorry about that. Anyways, I agree, Jill. If there was a way to just like have a one sheet we could share
There is.
publicly to explain why. Now, I shared this all with the mayor, 2 years ago or 2.5 years ago, whatever it was. And he still felt like it was worth pursuing. Basically, you throw enough money at it and you could make it work, but really we're talking millions of dollars for liability insurance, to set up the invasive species checkout point, staffing it. City of Boulder has said, we won't staff it. We don't want anything to do with it. So anyways, you're right.
So,
And I don't know what we do about that.
Well, is there a way that we could put together a one pager on that topic? That has the history of this discussion, but I know that would take a lot of work from someone. But I just think you're right. I feel like we should just have something that we hand people to say this has been
Right.
discussed and put
And
to
because-
rest many times.
Right. And then the other thing is new people who come into the area. They're like,
That's the problem. And I think
why aren't we kayaking? Why aren't we boating? What's going on?
But I think it's a bigger thing, like the community engagement committee, and how we communicate with new people, how they, I don't know. I mean, maybe we do have the FAQ list, somewhere.
I could do some real quick pulling together of the latest information I have. Now, it may not include all that historical stuff. But anyways, I can do that and send it to the team.
Yeah, and again, I think that's a bigger conversation for community engagement of how they actually get people to understand where we're at when they get here,
Yeah.
I don't know. Anyway, okay.
So as far as the water being too cold, there's boating on Gross Reservoir. And is that water warmer than Barker?
Well, they only allow, first of all, and you probably know this, that it's just non-motorized vehicles. And that is a great question. And I know that they have been looking into the invasive species, for instance, and that's why they ask people to put their address in their, make their address available in their, like in our kayak, for instance, we have to have our address and such on it. And they could actually stop you and ask you, where you've been using it. It is a much, much larger body of water. And I'm not sure exactly the science behind it, so I don't want to miss. It has something to do with the winds up here, the fact that area is a wind tunnel, and something to do with the wave motion and whatever. So that's the kind of thing I'm not the expert. So
Oh,
So I have a question. Are we actually vetting out these things, or is this pretty much what it is?
uh,
These objectives?
oh, these objectives. So then what I did was I took the objectives because we had already organized the goals to match what's in the matrix. And I pulled out the ones that were remaining and have been modified,
Great.
put those into our document. You responded to that.
Yeah,
I
I did.
reworked the objectives
Okay,
based on your response, which I think was a good, all the responses were pretty, were worthwhile. And in fact, what we have now, instead of explore ways to support desire for aquatic recreation, we have evaluate community members' requests for additional recreation
just in
facilities.
general.
And then as an action to that is your suggestion to come up with a method to evaluate, except the wording's a little better. So we could go through the rest of these pretty quickly and jump to our
Yeah,
document?
let's
Or
do that.
should I? Okay.
Yeah, let's do that.
Okay, so there they add, okay, so we pulled down the boating program to an action, and that satisfied the entire group. You know, the pro boating people and the anti boating people. Took out the community center site, develop it into its full potential. They said this has already been done, although I added the community center objective based on your input. So
Good.
yeah. So, and ProSab knows we're using what the info that they gave us, plus other information to come up with. Okay, instead of negotiate, approach Boulder Valley to come up with an agreement to use their outdoor recreational stuff.
I'm surprised
Okay.
we haven't done that already. That's surprising.
Support area nonprofits. Oh, okay. So they took out objective 3.5 about supporting area nonprofits because above there we have the objective to improve relationships. Gardening's taken off because we are doing the community gardens, and it seems like the gardening is less of a focus for ProSab and more of one for SAP. So they took that out. Address the need for safe venues. Okay, Boulder County and the Forest Service have come to an agreement about recreational shooting, and the two sites, one in the north, one in the south part of the county, so they won't be close to Netherland. We took out to support healthy, active, and culturally rich lifestyles because Shana said something that May has said in the past, is that we don't want to tell people how to live their lives. We want to offer education, but we're not saying you have to have healthy, active, and culturally rich lifestyles. So we just took that out. They combine objective 4.2 and 4.3 since it's all about sustainability. Their focus right now are they're focused on trails and the environment. The Tungsten Trail is finished. The community center site plan is done. The greenhouse has come and gone. And the Gateway Park area master plan is in progress.
So maybe the greenhouse is a SAB goal?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And are we still calling this the Gateway Park Area Master Plan?
That That's the title on the document.
Oh, gotcha. Okay. Okay.
All
Is
right,
that good? Let's move
Yeah.
to the next.
next. Next is, let's see. That, my battery's low. Here we go. I feel like we should read through all of this.
Yeah.
And my thought on I just want, I think we want to make sure we're hitting like the main
Mhm.
important stuff, objectives and goals. I know we got the goals and the vision tied down, but I'm wondering about objectives. So I'm not going to read it, but maybe we could all just get quietly.
I'm in a meeting. So, can you scroll for
Sure.
us? And maybe so our objective currently is just to kind of read through this and decide, this is the overall goal.
Uh-huh.
I have a comment on objective 1.6. Recognize the vulnerability of the Netherland area to wildfire and proactively plan to reduce risks. I think in principle, we're on board with that, but that statement can be interpreted in a number of ways. We've had the idea of cutting a donut around Netherland and so forth. So maybe we could add something at the end, like while balancing recreational, scenic, and wildlife values to 1.6, just to kind of indicate that we're always keeping that in mind.
I think that's the overall goal, though.
Well,
I know.
yeah. I've been to some pretty crazy meetings about the fire preparedness.
So
You know,
Karen,
because
Karen, do you
we also had talked at the last couple meetings about Boulder's move to recognize indigenous stewardship of these lands, and I don't notice anything in any of the objectives about that. But I think that wildlife, students know that when you have a healthy ecosystem, it tends to be more fire resistant in a certain sense. So, anyway, that was my comment in under one. And I have an overall feeling too, maybe we could keep in mind as we go through all these objectives. I went ahead and threw up my own survey response numbers on the page. Apologize for not doing that sooner. Karen made hers specific to Parks and Rec and found things that, frankly, I don't even remember seeing, but everybody has such great comments. But one of the comments that was made over and over again was that people feel left out. They don't feel like the board is responsive. And in the housing committee that I'm on, we're trying to make it, we're focusing on one thing, on a timeline. And I think the ProSab timeline is confusing at best. And I think that we don't factor in the public engagement process that hopefully we're going to be defining under public engagement. So that's an overall comment that it seems like in Netherland we're in this thing now where we assemble dozens or hundreds of pages of stuff before we've really brought it to the public in a way where they understand what we're even talking about.
Well, and I think that's what our goal is here, is to bring this before the public. So what I heard several things. I heard one thing that you feel this wildfire proactively planning piece can be interpreted in many ways. So maybe we want to call that out a bit. Then I also heard you say about the indigenous cultures here that we didn't necessarily a black screen. Do you guys have a black screen?
No, I've got the screen.
Weird. Okay. Well, anyway, so the indigenous wisdom piece, is that an objective, or is that something we would want to put somewhere? Or I think it's worth discussing. I don't know where it would fit.
I don't know, objective 1.2, the principles of sustainable sites and indigenous stewardship, maybe. Um, we're not really sure what that, I think they're still working on it in Boulder. And so we're not really sure what that's going to look like.
We just lost Karen, huh? Karen Blakemore's not on here.
Oh
Are
gosh.
you are you seeing her screen? No?
No, it's just Miranda.
Okay. Okay. I think she lost her battery. Yeah, so I think it's something we need to keep in mind. Hopefully she's going to come back up. I don't know if I can share. Let me try it.
And a friend of mine sent me a breakdown of the environmental conservation areas as defined by Boulder County, which actually we might want to incorporate. Um, I mean,
Can
I
you
think
see my screen? Can you guys see my screen?
I see a
Yeah.
Okay, good. Okay, so we're back to the we're talking about 1.6. So while balancing recreational, scenic, and environmental goals,
or
is that what
wildlife.
we want there?
How about wildlife values instead of environmental? Because environmental,
Yeah.
wildlife values.
Make post-related community outreach and education a priority to promote a well-informed public. I mean,
Yeah, what we put into our housing one was that we were going to follow the public engagement process as outlined in Envision 2030, even though it hasn't been outlined yet.
is that something we want here?
Well, I guess we can, we'll see if, I know that, some objectives are supposed to be part of every committee, and I would suppose that public engagement is one of them, but
I think, what's it called, a community engagement?
yeah, or public engagement, I think. Karen, am I right? I don't know who else with this now.
I'm sorry, I am with you. I'm still, I went down a rabbit hole looking for Barker Reservoir stuff. So the question was, what is community engagement called? Is
Is
that the
it
question?
community engagement or public engagement?
Oh, you could do either. I mean, they're kind of transmutable.
No, but what's the
community-
Envision?
It's
What's the
public,
Envision
it's
group?
public engagement.
Okay, thank you.
Sorry, I didn't understand the question.
No worry, no worry.
And
So on the,
oh, Jill, could I have one more minute?
yeah,
One of the things that's been brought up in other subcommittees is, or in private conversations, is the fact that in the IGA, Netherlands, we have our town limits, and then we have different kind of layers of planning areas. And one thing that we've discussed is, and Karen, maybe you can orient us on this, if we wanted to put a vote out to the greater Netherland planning area, which I think stretches all the way to Twin Sisters, doesn't it? And, it encompasses a pretty big area. These are areas that Netherlands claimed so that other municipalities can't claim them. And a lot of these people use Netherlands as their commercial center and their main business thing.
May, I'm not sure what you mean by claim. I will say that there are some districts that overlay over the town of Nederland, like the Nederland Fire Protection District, the Library District, and the EcoPest District. But
Well, if you look,
that doesn't give the town any rights beyond just being a part of those districts. So as far as if you wanted to do a vote outside the town boundaries, we are not now maybe Miranda knows something I don't, but as far as I understand, we can only operate elections within our own town boundaries.
well, that's interesting. And
Yeah.
that very well may be the case, but I think if you, and I don't want to take too much time with this, but if I remember correctly, on the IGA map with Boulder County, when we were reviewing the IGA, there is the Greater Nederland Planning Area. Karen, do you remember? It stretches all the way to Twin Sisters, probably all the way up to Eldora, Rollinsville.
Well, all of that is the rural area, which means no development can go on in it. There has been no planning area established with the current IGA that goes beyond the town borders. Now, when the discussion was going on about revising the IGA, there were all kinds of suggestions that were made. There were folks who said, just make it a 3-mile radius around and including the town limits. And that should be the PPA. That should be the planning area. Other folks said you should just do the areas where people are asking to be annexed. Others were saying, don't do anything at all because it's not good for the environment. There hasn't been a decision made. So right now, the way things sit, unless there's a change, is that will expire in March of next year. And then anyone who has borders, 1/6 of their property border is contiguous to the town, could apply for annexation, and we would follow the rules of the state. And what that means is it would still go through our planning department and review and all of that in the planning commission. Then it would go to the board of trustees. So it wouldn't include the having to go through Boulder County and their process as well, which is what it currently says, both in our municipal code and through our IGA, is that the Boulder County Planning Department also would review it. It would go through all of their process and then have to be approved by the Boulder County Commissioners. So that's the thing that would change if, in fact, nothing happened and the current IGA expired. I hope that's helpful.
So may I ask what this has to do with what we're doing right now? I
Well-
got lost on the conversation.
Yeah, it has more to do with the trails part of it, and we're not quite there yet. But I see Karen's
Yeah,
back.
we have 25 minutes, so
Sorry.
let's focus.
Okay, do you like
So-
what I put in there for objective 1.6? Does that capture what you were thinking about, May?
Well, wildfire mitigate, not really. Recreational, scenic, and wildlife values. We have nothing in there about wildlife.
Best practice, forest health,
And wildlife values, maybe.
wildlife. How
How
about
about what values wildlife needs?
best
or-
practices in how about something about ecology through best practices in ecological health? Because that covers both the plant and wildlife.
I think so too.
Yeah, I
think
like
that
that,
would-
Karen.
Okay.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. So Karen, we added, as laid out by public engagement in Vision 2030 in terms of our well-informed public.
Make cross-related
1.7.
community outreach and educate priority. Promote a well-informed public as laid out by public engagement. Yeah, yeah, it sounds good.
Walking, bicycle, pedestrian needs
I put a
to
period
first
there.
and encourage.
As laid out. As,
To all. I think you got a typo there, Karen. Transportation. Oh, at all post facilities. Okay, that's what you meant. I was thinking two, but
Are you on 1.8, May?
yeah.
Okay. Consider parking, bicycle.
that's directly from the 2013 plan, or the, yeah,
That's fine.
2014.
All right, parks goal. Okay, so this is already taken care of here.
What? Yeah. Did you
Okay.
check
I
that?
just took it So continue to create and implement management plans for all town parks.
Those are examples: erosion, overuse.
What about litter, trash, fishing hooks, lines?
Maybe in 3.4, we could say support a mix of recreational and cultural activities and programs, responsive and all of that. But somewhere in there, add parks maintenance or put it in there. Is that what you were thinking in
The-
that one?
We're on objective
Oh, right
2.2.
there, trash management.
Including water, you know. So we want wildlife hazards.
Oh,
I mean, there's a real problem with
Oh.
the fishing waste.
manage overuse. Right.
Trash
Okay.
management, including fishing, cast off, no pun intended, fishing gear.
That's kind of what I was leading towards, but I was thinking of maybe, because there's problem also like in Chipeta Pond and in the reservoir shoreline with fishing
Oh.
issues,
Trash. Right. So
including
this trash,
hazardous,
yeah, it's dangerous to wildlife.
hazardous fishing waste.
Yeah,
I don't know.
fishing.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Okay, so support. Okay, you guys okay with that, with calling out the dog waste?
No, I like it.
You like the dog waste?
Yeah, in a bag, in a trash can.
It would be great if we had a compostable dog waste
Right,
because of the bags. The bags don't degrade,
yeah, but dog waste doesn't
and the dog waste.
either.
And so
Who
in
wants
I
to
think
Boulder,
handle that though? Yeah.
in Boulder, they do have compostable dog waste at some of their parks.
But they still go into a trash can. They're not being
Yeah,
left on
and
the,
then it's composted.
right.
So, yeah, instead of
But-
going,
Inevitably, every hike I go on, I see a bag of dog poop.
Yeah.
On the trail. And I end up bringing them home and properly disposing of them.
Ugh.
It says support efforts to create sustainable recreation to dog owners and their pets. Is this really something we want as an objective?
Well,
I mean, I feel like it falls into the recreational evaluation question of, whenever
Mhm.
anybody has a random idea, they should go through a process and seeing if their random idea has already been vetted or
oh,
has uh, uh, already
well,
been answered.
we could put trash management, including hazardous fishing waste and dog waste.
Yeah, yeah. I would prefer to take the whole sustainable recreational opportunities for dog owners out.
Yeah, I think we should do that.
Thank
I'm
you.
fine with that. Yeah. I think
However,
it's loaded.
before you erase it, okay.
Okay, I'll put it back in.
Are you saying, it's okay. Are you saying that we should, well, I do think calling out the dog waste, is that just something oh, okay, you just did that. Okay.
Take out objective 2, 3.
I think so, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oops. And I'm just going to change this objective to 2, 3 there.
Yeah, good.
Get rid of that. Oops.
I think that's great. Okay.
Okay, so then check that off.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Yeah, that was 3-1. Was they said it was already done, but it isn't done. This is not a complete objective. 3.1.
And I agree with that because
Mhm.
if you look at the responses from the survey,
Yeah.
there are quite a few mentions of,
Right.
improving the operation and
You have that
facilities.
the old schoolhouse in the back that's unused.
Yeah.
Lots of garden, open, sun. The exposure is fantastic for a greenhouse. So I know this is under recreation, but you could have all kinds of things happening.
I think we need to.
Plus the mention of the renovation of the West Wing. That is definitely not even close to. The West Wing has a lot of opportunity.
Well,
And
Dawn,
I know it would be expensive, but I think we should still leave it in there.
Dawn was saying that the community center took out a bond, which is coming up for review perhaps next year. And we might want to put in something about its current uses and funding, because if they were able to not retire the bond, in other words, to keep getting the money in and put it into a general fund, like the library has a maintenance budget, but the community center doesn't. So a lot of the community foundation goals are going to require, funding. And so the funding is a big deal that we should put in there. It's current uses and funding, maybe.
I think that's change it however you want. I was just kind of taking notes there, but
Sure.
Explore funding opportunities, West Wing renovation, old schoolhouse functionality. So, yeah, are any of these these aren't projects that are currently in progress, are they?
I don't think so.
Oh,
Okay.
yes. The Community Center Foundation, Karen, you can correct me if I'm
Oh,
wrong. Um,
right.
but I believe they do have a long range plan for renovations and so forth. Although I believe that there's always room for reevaluation of plans. Um, to target things that are higher priority perhaps and more within reach. But yeah, there is a plan in place.
There is a plan in place, and I think the goal was to have the renovations done by 2030. They had a pretty
Nice.
long timeline. The person though who was really driving it, Dale Porter, left town a couple years ago, and so things slowed down. They are now reinvigorating the foundation and
That's great.
hoping to pick this up again. And you're right, May, that I'm sure there will be a revisit to the plan since they're so old at this point. I think they're 7 years old or something like that.
So, I'm wondering if, these bullets are good and they're, high level, big projects, big efforts. However, I'm wondering if that's in the purview of, parks, recreation and open space. I could see us evaluating the community center's current use and future possibilities. So, and then we're getting into a little bit of projects here when we're
Yeah,
talking
okay.
about,
Yeah.
so and I don't think we want to put West Wing renovation as
Just delete it.
Yeah, I'm just thinking that might be good not to get into those
Maybe.
details here. What would be the
Uses and how it can accommodate more of the community's.
I think if you just put funding in there, you satisfy
its current uses?
that part of it.
The community center.
Current uses and funding. I don't know.
Yeah. Oh, evaluate its current uses, funding.
Maybe funding.
Yeah. And how it
And
can
how.
accommodate more of the community's recreation goals. I mean,
I think that covers it.
West Wing renovation, should that,
We
No,
took that out. We took that out, Karen.
okay, should that be under projects and initiatives or?
oh, I think personally, I think it's really worth calling out, but
Well, we could put it down there. Those are like a few big projects.
where do you want to put that?
Just after master trail plan update as a
Or you want,
project.
go ahead.
Okay.
I think the old schoolhouse needs to be on that also.
Okay. Heading 2. Let's see. Center renovation
Projects. Yeah.
projects.
Well, guys, while we're on projects, I'd like to add the old town garage site. It could be a real asset to the town. And, at this point, it's undergoing testing for, I don't know whether it's a Superfund site, but a contamination site.
Oh.
But there's some short-term things that we could do to make it nicer for the residents that have been living with this for so long, and maybe start working on a long-range plan for that area.
Hold on, May. I just want to get the other project for the community center.
It's
It
just
was
the old schoolhouse.
old schoolhouse, West Wing renovation, and old schoolhouse.
Well, and the stone garage.
And the stone garage.
Yeah.
West Wing, old schoolhouse, stone garage.
Whoops. Okay.
There's still some work that needs to happen to the biomass building, although it's been improved greatly, and the police department's using it for storage right now.
So
The stone garage?
No, the biomass. The
Oh.
stone garage still does have some storage in it, but we're really trying to clean it up.
and biomass garage,
Biomass building.
building,
Nice.
renovations.
Mm-hmm.
To optimize
That's a-
the use of those spaces.
Yep.
Optimize,
Those are great assets to the town.
optimize use of space. Uh-oh. Yeah, let's go right there. It's gonna mess it all up.
I think. I just have to move this over.
Okay,
Whoops. Ah. Did
I got it. It's good.
Okay.
It's good
Okay.
now. I have the goals, objectives addressed down there. But, and then
Nice.
what was,
Nice.
May,
Okay.
what were you talking about there for
I was
project?
saying that while we were down in that area for projects,
Mm.
evaluate site of Old Town Garage and start, make a plan.
And we have 8 minutes, guys.
Is that in Parks, Recreation and Open Space?
Yeah, I guess it's an open
Well,
space. There's
it's a
nothing.
it's a town-owned piece of property.
Mhm.
And there has been, you know, intention in the past to use it for affordable housing. But what that means has not been determined. But it's a conversation that's unfolding because of the contamination on the property, which will pick up our research once the weather allows us to do that. We have had some testing done, but we're entering another phase because we did find some contaminants. So I would say that's kind of a slow moving thing, although, you know, this is 2030. So if it's something you think should be
Yeah, because of the
considered,
contamination that was found there, the Brown site expert that lives in the neighborhood said it will never be either a potential affordable housing site because it'll never really be possible to clean it up. And I had thought of a little wetlands park because it's right along the creek there. And she said there are a lot of problems with that as well because of transport of toxins. So I think there's things we can do with it that would improve it, make it maybe into a little pocket park. Um, but I think we should look at it.
Yeah.
So,
7-minute warning, guys. 7 minutes.
so the Environmental
Okay.
Sustainability Group is suggesting that space be used for a solar garden.
Interesting.
Maybe we can combine forces and have like a solar garden community. I don't know. Okay. Are we?
We're on trails.
about
We're up
trails?
here.
What about objective?
We covered the open space goal, right? Did we look at these objectives? I don't think we did. I think they're fine.
So objective 3.4, do we want to have that last
Oh, there it is.
phrase in alignment with the deep respect for nature and commitment to environmental stewardship and education? That's already in the recreation goal.
Right. So we probably don't, huh?
I would say take it out. Is that okay?
Because everything should be.
There, out. And then objective 3.5. Are you okay with the resolution on your comment?
Oh. Yeah. Oh, it is in the recreation goals. I thought it was up in the, did you move it?
Actually, doesn't this belong in recreation goals?
And then I think you must have moved it.
Moved it to recreation goals and changed that objective to improve relationships.
Yeah, I think so. How about improve and build upon relationships?
Improve and build upon
Sorry.
relationships. Here, good. Oh, we're both typing. Sorry, I I'm looking at my
No,
other
you're good.
screen. Okay.
You're good. All right, and then open space goals.
Is 4.1 realistic? Can we actually acquire open space property? I guess we can if we have
If
money
you had
to
a,
do.
if you had an open space department like Boulder County.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not really sure what this is gonna produce, but it would be the vehicle for establishing discussions perhaps with the Forest Service. So I think the open space stuff is something we all kind of agree on.
Okay.
It looks good to me.
Alrighty.
I like that.
Karen, Blakemore, there was some reference in here about accessibility, ADA. I don't remember where that was.
At the very top.
Under
So,
trails?
under overall goal.
Oh, okay. I
So,
think we need to limit
Right here,
that.
1.4.
Yeah, seek to make facilities ADA compliant. Okay, not trails. I think
so
we want to
and
have a trail loop that's ADA compliant, a small little walk that people can take.
well,
Um,
let's put that down in the projects then.
Is Barker Meadows going to be ADA compliant?
I don't know.
yeah, the
Um,
Western Shoreline Trail might be the place. We're gonna have
Mhm.
one more meeting before the group meeting, correct? So we'll see, we still have a little time.
Yeah, yeah, I wanted to get this to ProSab to
Thank
get
you.
their input in the next week because I'd like to have this like have their eyes on it and have before it goes to the Board of Trustees.
Well, with that in mind, Karen, objective 5.4, I, in one way I agree with that, but I think we open ourselves perhaps to trail connectivity and usage along trails that have been riparian corridors or wildlife migration corridors. If you're talking 20 or 30 people a week, it's very different from a trail of now used by 200 people a week on mountain bikes that are shouting at each other as they travel and going past private homes and so forth. So I'm a little unsure whether the town and the surrounding area that I was speaking about earlier, the PPA or whatever it is in alignment with this goal. I know there are people on ProSab that are committed to this idea of this giant mountain bike trail, but I don't know whether we want to make that a goal, or whether we want to have wording that can be kind of used in an authoritarian way. Again, I know we're at the end of our time, but
I feel
that,
like the goal covers that though. I mean, we went through that, well-maintained pathways which are left as much as possible in their natural state. We covered that up there.
And I do know that the ProSab, one of their actions for the master trail plan update is to get community input. So I just read they were putting together a survey of some sort. So I think
okay.
it should get into like what our needs, what needs and desires are there.
Yeah, as long as we get a substantial response, that ought to work. I just wanted to throw that out there.
Okay,
Well, I do think 5.3, just a minute. Well, actually 5.2. I do think we could add a little something extra about not just effective trails for, feels like we should maybe put in there something about a balance
Well,
balance.
they
with
have
nature. Just,
what do they call it? Ecological, environmental conservation areas. For example, there's some of them off of Magnolia Road, and Boulder County has a whole list of
yeah, I don't know, maybe not.
criteria for that. So if the trails are going through that kind of environment,
Let's see.
environmental conservation areas. Boulder County shall designate and map environmental conservation areas as well as overland and stream habitat, riparian corridors at a landscape scale. So, I mean, we can work on this after the meeting, but
Yeah, I think we should. I personally think 5.2 needs work.
So there,
To enhance trail quality is kind of a, I get what, I think I understand what that means, but I think it should be more pointed at
yeah,
minimizing erosion, you know, a real concerted effort, minimizing erosion, minimizing trail cuts. Like there's a bunch of trail cuts that as you go up to the community center from town, people cut right through and that beautiful trail, you know. And those cuts happen right where there aren't any rock enforcements. So I think we should have more of a pointed, you know, to avoid erosion or I don't know.
now the, there, some of this stuff could be addressed by the, projects and initiatives, because if we look at the actions for.
But I think it's actually in the building of new trails.
Uh-huh,
In the new trail construction, there should be guidance around, you know, minimizing erosion. And I think it's mainly minimizing erosion
uh-huh.
because when people trail cut too, that just causes erosion and ruins the trail. It takes more maintenance.
Find resources for effective trail maintenance and new trail construction to enhance trail. Well, so maybe we should address the root cause rather than fixing it after it occurs. Maybe
Exactly. That's why I
so,
think it needs to be under new trail construction.
so
To
it should
enhance
be,
trail quality, enhance trail quality and minimize erosion. And
find resources and new trail construction to enhance trail quality, comma, minimize erosion and enhance
encourage or something.
to. So, you know, in Boulder, they have a program, you know, it's like the muddy trail. We're in the mud season, the trails are muddy, and it's like encouraging people to like walk down the middle of that trail
Right, right.
and get muddy.
Mm-hmm.
Don't widen the trail. So I think it's probably more of an education piece.
Well, yeah, but in the construction of those trails, there are things they can do to minimize erosion.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
But maybe we should have education in there too.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So we do have, oh no, that was the other. Okay.
About use education or
Yeah. Find resources for effective trail maintenance,
user education.
education, and new trail construction to enhance trail quality, minimize erosion. Yeah, that might do it. So what May was saying about the preserving, having preserving open space, you know, having areas where there's just not any use going on. Let's see. I think.
No, I wasn't really saying that. I was saying
Oh,
that
okay.
the environmental, perhaps a goal could be, or a project could be to dovetail the Boulder County environmental conservation areas on the landscape scale with areas within the town of Nederland that are actually part of that. You know, we have national forests within the town limits. In some places, we have private homes that are landscape corridors and so forth. And I don't think there's been an effort to have a continuous mapping done.
Mm-hmm.
So it
I-
would be something like incorporate the Boulder County Environmental Conservation Area, what criteria, or I think my main point would be we would develop our own part of that map,
Mm.
contribute to the Boulder County Environmental Conservation Area by mapping our own habitat on a landscape scale.
Is that a
So-
project down below?
That I was thinking of that as a project.
Oh. Address funding. Okay. Yeah.
Okay, it's 11:38. 11:38. Be good?
So what is the name of, what is that project?
It's called the Environmental Conservation Area,
Okay.
and they're
Nice.
designating and mapping habitat on a landscape scale.
Okay. Let's see. Kind of messed all this up, but whoa, what happened there? Okay, so project is coordinate with
Coordinate and contribute to.
Can you send me a link to that?
There you go.
document?
There you go.
You
And I
bet.
could,
I will.
Why don't you
Okay.
shoot,
come up,
shoot Karen an email on that? That's
and
perfect.
I'll come up with a project for it.
All right, great.
And
You guys
then,
are awesome.
yeah, what I can do is I need to reformat this. I think the formatting is messed up now.
I think so too. Yeah, sorry.
And do you guys want to look at this one more time before I send it to ProSap?
Yeah, let's get that last goal on there. I
Okay.
can do that as soon as the meeting's over, Karen.
I
Okay.
think
The
it
only
looks
other
great.
thing was the tools, you know, the public engagement and that kind of thing. I think you have in there, develop a tool, by making use of the,
Decision-making tool? Is that what you're
yeah,
talking
Yeah,
about?
that was my, let's see. Create a decision-making tool to address proposals from the community for specific recreational facility desires in alignment with a deep respect for nature and commitment to environmental stewardship and education.
address proposals from the community. Yeah. Well, we talked about the public engagement process elsewhere, so I think we just want to try to be as clear as we can.
I think
And
it's because it's over and over again that we get proposed all kinds of projects. And I think
Uh-huh.
just some kind of vetting tool would be really excellent.
I agree.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And it could be, we have in the documentation collected
Yeah,
for the things that
Right.
people ask over and over again.
Yeah.
So first we look at that, and then maybe we try to quantify the need and desire in the community.
mm-hmm.
And we look at fun, kind of a high level view of what it would take to get it done, cost wise
Right.
and volunteer and all that. Okay,
And maintaining.
maintenance, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I'm gonna cut out. You guys can keep going.
Enjoy your vacation.
Thank you.
Yeah, take an extra
Bye.
swim for us. Hey.
I will.
Yay.
I'm so sorry. Let's see how we're doing.
Yeah.
All right, and I'll be still here next Monday, but I'll be in the meeting.
Great. Thanks.
So,
Thanks,
and
Jill.
I'm gonna try to make tonight's meeting, but I'd actually doubt it, Karen. Sorry. Did Karen leave already?
I can't tell.